Okay, hello. This is an update video for the last video I made regarding Etsy requiring sellers to verify their bank accounts through a company, third-party company called Plaid. And I promise this video is going to be much shorter than my last video. So the update here is the 30 days for me has passed. So here's what my screen looks like now for Etsy. I can no longer receive funds from sales. It used to say 30 days. I had roughly 30 days from a few days ago, from last week, to verify my bank account through Plaid. So basically, it's not just that my funds are suspended or be held for a certain amount of time. Basically, I will no longer be able to receive sales or funds from sales, excuse me. So right now, I can no longer receive funds from sales. So I can still sell, I just won't be able to access that money. And then if I don't verify within the next 23 days, according to this, at this time, I won't be able to sell at all. I believe my shop will be suspended until I connect my bank via Plaid. So Etsy is still continuing with this regarding or disregarding all of the pushback that sellers have been screaming about this. Sellers are not taking this requirement well, and Etsy is still continuing with this company, just completely disregarding the $58 million settlement that that Plaid went through. So even though this company does have many troubles, Etsy is still forcing sellers to do this. They're not offering an alternative. In fact, Etsy has not even put out an official statement regarding this, not an email to sellers that I'm aware of. And personally, I don't think they ever will. And speaking on that, this is all just my opinion. I am not a professional. I'm not a lawyer, anything like that. So again, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But I don't think that Etsy's future is looking as warm and fuzzy as everybody thought it would be, or they didn't have the warm and fuzzies that they once had for Etsy. So moving on to the real reason I'm making this update video is because after looking at the policy for Plaid that you are forced to agree with if you connect your bank account, even if you do the manual option, Plaid will still have access to certain information regarding your account. And like I said in my last video, I don't think sellers are aware of how much information Plaid will have access to, or potentially will have access to. So after reading their policy, the end user policy that you have to agree to if you verify your bank account in accordance with Etsy's new requirements, here's a part of the end user privacy policy that I wanted to go over a little bit more in depth. So when you agree to this, you're using the bank account that Etsy probably already has on account, or excuse me, that Etsy already has access to on your Etsy account. Now, here's in Plaid information we collect from your financial account. Now, there's a lot to this. This is a very long privacy policy. But from what I gathered, again, not a professional, but from what I gathered reading this, when you provide Plaid, which is a third-party company, your routing number and account number, they can actually access other accounts that you have with that financial institution. So in this portion, we're just going to peruse this a little bit, and I'm going to try to see if I can find that portion that kind of hints towards that. Again, this is just my interpretation from what I'm reading from this privacy policy. This is a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, as you all probably already suspect. Everything's not written on the wall, and you kind of do have to infer some things. So they're telling you the truth without telling you the truth, so to speak. And this is not going to be the case for everybody. So under information we collect from your financial accounts, the information we receive from the financial product and service providers that maintain your financial accounts varies depending on on a number of factors, including what and how information made available by those providers and the specific Plaid services developers use, or in cases where we offer services directly to you, the Plaid services you use. So right now, I believe the services that's being provided was through Etsy. So it's basically whatever agreement Etsy has with Plaid is how Plaid's going to collect or receive certain information. So depending on these factors, the information we collect may include identifiers, commercial information, financial information, and professional information from your financial products and service providers. More specifically, this may include the following types of information. Now, this is where it goes down regarding your accounts and things like that. Now, it's automatic that they're going to have your routing and account number. That's a given. But what you may not be aware of is if you have multiple accounts with the same financial institution, Plaid may get access to that information. For example, a lot of Etsy sellers actually have businesses, have full-grown businesses, have LLCs, have registered businesses. And when you open up a bank account for your business, typically that comes with a savings account. And a lot of businesses also have some type of line of credit, such as a loan or a credit card. So when you're verifying your account with Plaid and you give them access to one account number, it's a possibility that Plaid will also have access to the other accounts with that financial institution, to that savings account. Let's say you give them your checking account number, then Plaid may see information regarding that savings account. Etsy may see, Plaid may see information regarding that loan and or credit card. And that's where some of this information comes into play, such as here, information about loan accounts, including due dates, repayment statuses, balances, pay amounts and dates, interest rates, guarantor, loan type, payment plan, and terms. Now, why would Plaid need that information, or why would I ever give that information? Or why would sellers ever give that information to Plaid? They didn't necessarily. That's Plaid collecting information from your financial account. And Plaid is, I guess you could take this as a warning that Plaid may have access to that information. That way they don't have to pay another $58 million in a settlement. Information about investment accounts. Again, if I'm just giving you my checking, routing, and account number, why would a seller ever think that Plaid would have access to their loan information or their investment accounts? This is a potential information collection activity that Plaid may engage in just from your checking account. Because I believe somewhere in here it actually states you can give Plaid a single account, your checking account number, and yet Plaid may have access or may collect on or receive information regarding your other accounts. And that's the part that that I wanted to really hit home with, because some sellers, again, with the timing of all this, are unaware that this is a possibility. So here at the bottom of this portion right here, depending on the Plaid service a developer uses, and I believe developer is Etsy perhaps, because it's not, I don't think it's going to be the sellers. Etsy is the ultimate customer here for Plaid. So depending on the Plaid service a developer uses and the manner that the data is made available, the data collected from your financial accounts may include information from all accounts, such as savings, checking, and credit card, accessible through a single set of account credentials. So as I stated, I can give Plaid access to a single set of account credentials, which would be maybe just my checking account number. That's a single set, right? And yet Plaid may have access to my savings and loan types, if I have a loan or credit card or any other accounts I have with that financial institution from that single set. I'm assuming it's from that single financial institution, but at this point, who knows? I'm not reading all of this at this point in time, so who knows how much access Plaid will have access to. And that's why when you're reading through, if any of you ever bother reading through this, the end user policy, privacy policy is so long, because they can potentially have access to almost anything and everything information-wise regarding your financial institutions, which includes Social Security, payments, whether or not you have debt, things of that nature. And that's why I urge sellers to be aware of how much information you're allowing this company, who was literally just sued for financial shenanigans with people's information. So for the uninitiated, be aware that this is a possibility, that this third-party company, who was just sued, again, for $58 million, may have access to all of this information just from you clicking a checkbox and agreeing to this very long end user policy. And as I stated before, Etsy has been silent on all of this. I don't think they're ever going to address the criticism that they're receiving from this move with this company, at least because Etsy is a business. It's a publicly traded business. In fact, their stock has been a little bit winky wonky as of late, but it's on the uptrend right now. So they are a publicly traded company, which means they're beholden not to the sellers. They're beholden to their shareholders and what makes them money. So that's also why I don't think this falling out this time of year was all happenstance. I think this could have been thought out to release this or force this requirement at this time of year, because it is the most profitable time of year for sellers to suddenly have this requirement. Of course, sellers probably aren't going to take the time to read that very long, in-depth end user policy. They're just going to agree so that they can get their money, especially coming off of a pandemic, which hurt a lot of sellers. So this is Etsy doing what they have to do. It's a legal requirement. So say Etsy anyway, it's a legal requirement. So they're rolling it out towards the end of the year to get the job done, so it would have the least amount of impact on the stock, which is why I think this time of year for them to do this was strategic. There's no way Etsy didn't know about the lawsuit. Seeing the writing on the wall, Etsy made the decision or the estimate that sellers would be most vulnerable near the end of the calendar year. Coming off an epidemic, sellers were going to be focused on making products and sales for the most part. And thinking about profits, not really what they're agreeing to here. Not reading terms and conditions or policies saying this potentially untrustworthy company is going to have access to more information than you thought necessary, or at least you thought you were giving them access to. I don't think Etsy's going to address this. They're just going to let the chips fall where they may, and just wait things out, and people will eventually forget this and move on. Like that, it's all too convenient for this to just fall the way they have by happenstance. That's why I do think this was rather strategic. The timing of this requirement to verify yourself, suspension rights before the holiday rush, complying with legal requirements during the least impactful time of year. Etsy has sellers by the neck. So if some get suspended, hopefully it's not enough to impact sales or impact their stock. Because again, most profitable time of year, coming off a pandemic, people are just going to be about getting their money, not realizing what they're agreeing to. So those are my thoughts on that, on this situation. I just wanted sellers to be aware of what they're agreeing to here. And if you are going to agree to this and not allow your account or your shop to be suspended, I strongly suggest opening up a new bank account with a new financial institution, and just having a single account, and then just giving Plaid that information to limit how much, or at least in an attempt to limit how much access Plaid will have access to, or how much information Plaid will have access to. So if you have your personal checking account with the same financial institution, which many people do, a lot of sellers we're creatures of habit. So if we have a personal bank account with a financial institution, it's only natural to want to open up your business account with that same financial institution. And by doing so, that's where the social security numbers and things like that could also come from. So I highly suggest that sellers just be aware of this. And my recommendation is to go to a new financial institution, completely severed from your personal, and opening up a new bank account with them, and then giving Plaid that information versus taking the chance that this company could have access to all of that information, because it seems like that is a possibility based on Plaid's own words. It says Again, information from all accounts accessible through a single set of account credentials. So that's the part that I wanted to hit a little bit harder about and just warn sellers, hey, when you agree to this, and it's so easy to just agree to it because it's just check the block, so you're not reading what this actually is saying, or what that policy is saying. You're not aware of what you're actually agreeing to, that you're agreeing to all of this. Look how long this is. Look how long this thing is. You're agreeing to this. Well, some of it's in French, but you're agreeing to a lot of your information being shared, including potential accounts that you weren't aware that you would be sharing with this third-party company. So that's my update. Let me know your thoughts. Feel free to. I plan on putting out a lot more content unrelated to whatever this shenaniganery is through the upcoming seasons. And I hope this helps someone. If it helps you, please feel free to comment to let me know that this was worthwhile. And I apologize to anyone who may have agreed to this unknowingly. And please, if you do end up opening another account through another financial institution and going through it that way, let me know if you do that as well. Or if you've read this and you have a different take on this end user policy, please also comment that. Make sure I could be a crazy person. Make sure I'm reading this correctly. I'm a very cynical person, so I tread lightly. But Etsy doesn't seem to be seeing the ramifications of this situation. Maybe I'm overstating the seriousness of this. I don't know. So please let me know your thoughts and comments below.